Welcome back, Rovers! The second half of patch 3.5 is officially here, which means SuiSui, Yanyan's sister, has joined the roster. Today we are going to break down her kit, echoes, rotations, weapons, best teams compositions and resonance chains in full detail. And by the end of the video you will know the final verdict. Is she worth your Astrites? So let's jump right into it. Unlike her sister, SuiSui chose diplomacy and negotiation over blades, a detail that nicely sets up her law-accurate role in combat. In team setups she acts as a compact support healer, taking minimal field time, keeping allies healthy and heavily boosting overall team damage by buffing negative statuses. SuiSui is a glacier element character. Her core gameplay revolves around two distinct stances. In her base stance, her basic attacks, dodges and skill deal glacial damage while building up her 40 gauge, capped at 120 points. Her skill restores 40 points and a perfect dodge grants 35 points. Unlike most characters, dodging doesn't break her combo sequence. Attacking right after a dodge lets you immediately execute the fourth hit of her basic attack chain. Once her 40 gauge is maxed out, her skill turns into an enhanced skill, which pulls nearby enemies, applies Glacial Chafe debuff, and transitions SuiSui into rain stance for 15 seconds. While in rain stance, SuiSui gains interruption resistance and begins stacking her second 40 gauge up to 600 points. Also, in this stance her modified skill grants 100 points, her special dodge won't reset her attack chain, and the third hit of her basic combo groups enemies, while the fourth hit applies Glacial Chafe. As her Resonance Liberation, SuiSui creates an artistic zone for 30 seconds. It increases the stack cap for Spectrophrasal, Fusion Burst, Glacial Chafe, Aero Erosion, Electro Flare and Electro Rage by 3 stacks, whenever a team member inflicts or deal damage using that status. You should pay attention that SuiSui does not increase the stack limit for Havoc Bane. Instead, when Havoc Bane stacks are consumed, her field grants 6% defense ignore and 12% Havoc resistance reduction for 30 seconds. Her intro skill groups enemies, applies Glacial Chafe and immediately switches her into rain stance, allowing you to bypass her initial 40 building phase entirely. And her outro skill grants a team with a 25% all damage amp buff for 30 seconds. Additionally, if her liberation field is active, SuiSui consumes 1 or 3 secondary 40 charges every 6 seconds, inflicting Glacial Chafe and unlocking buffs based on her stored 40 points. Switching out with no 40 points accumulated grants only interruption resistance. If you have 1 stack, it heals the incoming resonator. If you have 2 stacks, it boosts the active character's damage scaling with SuiSui Energy Regen up to 12%. And full 40 gauge grants up to 50% attack based on SuiSui's Energy Regen. Crucial note that the first 40 stack is consumed 6 seconds after SuiSui leaves the field. The second character in your rotation does not receive the 50% attack buff directly. Instead, they receive a pass-along buff that applies the attack bonus to the next character. And in standard support sub-DPS main DPS rotation, your main DPS will be the one receiving the full attack boost. Keep that in mind when you play around with your team's rotation. The sub-DPS needs to stay on field for at least 6 seconds to trigger this buff. You can track this easily by watching SuiSui's party portrait. When her stack count drops from 3 to 2, it's time to swap. Her first passive skill grants 10 stacks of periodic healing. It scales off SuiSui's max HP. Hitting with her enhanced skill or intro skill also restores 18 Concertor energy and 13 resonance energy. Her second passive saves an ally from lethal damage, sacrificing 50% of her current HP to revive them, and it works once in 10 minutes. As for the talent priority, you can skip leveling them. But if you have free resources, follow this order. SuiSui's rotation is pretty straightforward, but follows one crucial rule. SuiSui should always open the team's swap chain. We enter via intro skill, which instantly activates rain stance. If entering without intro, you should execute 4 basic attacks and then skill. After that, casting skill in her rain stance, which will grant 100 points in her second 40 gauge. Next, we should perform basic attack chain to max out her 40 gauge. Then cast your main Echo and Liberation. You're ready to swap to your next character. This should be sub DPS or debuffer, like Chisa or Lucilla. And a quick reminder, make sure they stay on field for at least 6 seconds to absorb the first step of SuiSui's buff. The golden rule of her build: you must hit at least 260 energy regen, just like Showkeeper or Verena. Without this threshold, her buffs won't reach their maximum scaling. Her best-in-slot echo set she shares with her younger sister, the Son of Feathered Trace. It provides 10% energy regen and boosts team's attack by up to 25%. And her main echo in this set is Forbidden Bastion. Alternative option is well-known healing set Rejuvenating Glow, which grants 10% healing bonus and 15 attack to the team upon healing. And main echo in this set is Fallacy of No Return. Despite the set, you should stick to 4-3-3-1-1 setup, with 4-cost echo granting healing bonus, HP percent or crit damage, 3-cost with double energy regen and 1-cost with double HP percent. For substats, you should focus heavily on energy regen until you hit 260, followed by HP percent, crit rate and crit damage with flat HP. Each weapon is her best-in-slot weapon. It grants 77 energy regen and 20% attack team buff and 8 concerted energy. The second option is Showkeeper's signature. It provides the same 77 energy regen and 8 concerted energy. An excellent alternative. The next one is 4-star King. It grants solid energy regen and concerto energy. Hitting the 260% ER threshold is slightly harder, but performance-wise it's remarkably close to 5-star alternatives. Rectify 25 and Call of the Abyss are budget energy regen option, though you'll need to do some more extra attacks to build enough concerto energy. Now let's talk about her dupes, sequences and constellations. S1 makes her 50 attack percent buff applicable to main DPS units that don't natively consume debuffs, such Imeth and Zani, while adding extra interruption resistance. S2 grants a massive 50% crit damage to the entire team when hitting targets affected by debuffs. S3, S4 and S5 are just stepping stones to S6. S3 just shortens your rotation length, S4 grants 50% healing from passive, and S5 grants 100 damage to her own attacks. Her Sequence 6 grants 500% crit damage to her intro skill and enhanced skill, letting SuiSui drop some serious nukes. For pull recommendation, if you plan on running her strictly with Hiyuki, New Yan Yan, or future characters who natively consume negative statuses, you can safely skip sequences at S1 to save your Astrites. And if you fell in love with her character and want to invest without breaking the bank, Sequence 2 is the ultimate sweet spot. Let's break down her best teams ranked by how much value SuiSui brings over alternative supports. The best one is Havocbane team with Yan Yan SP, Chisa and SuiSui. And in this team, SuiSui comfortably takes Showkeeper's slot. Because Yan Yan actively consumes Havocbane stacks, SuiSui delivers her full 95% attack buff even at Sequence 0. The next one is Glacial Chafe team, with Hiyuki, Lucilla and SuiSui. Currently the absolute best in slot team for Hiyuki. Just like Yan Yan, Hiyuki consumes Glacial Chafe stacks, unlocking full SuiSui's buff. However, SuiSui's performance over Chisa is not so huge, so they're nearly the same. But if you want to free Chisa for Yan Yan's team, for example, it is the best option. Next one is Fusion Burst team with Imeth, Denia and SuiSui. Starting from this tier, SuiSui's effectiveness at S0 drops significantly. Imeth does not consume Fusion Burst stacks, so at Sequence 0, SuiSui provides healing, 3 negative status stack expansion and up to 45 attack via weapon and set. But her 50% attack buff from Forte remains locked until Sequence 1. Next one is Spectrofrazzle team with Zani, Phoebe and SuiSui, where she replaces Showkeeper or Spectro Rover in quick swap setups. At S0, she gives Zani plus 3 Spectrofrazzle stacks, healing and 45% attack. Since Zani does not consume stacks, the 50% Forte attack buff won't trigger. So for this team you will also need SuiSui at S1. And this is one of the worst teams for SuiSui, with Katefia and Chikona. Ranked below Zani because Aero Rover equipped with Blood Pack Pledge provides huge and free 26% aero damage amplification from their skill, making Rover the best in slot. SuiSui serves as a reliable alternative if Rover is needed in another team. Note that SuiSui's massive attack buff is useless here, as Katefia scales purely on HP. And the last team I can think of is Electro Flare team, with Electro Rover, Bulin and SuiSui. While synergy exists on paper, the team currently suffers from low viability, due to Electro Rover's lacking resonance chains. Furthermore, neither Electro Rover nor Bulin consumes Electro Flare stacks, meaning without Sequence 1, SuiSui cannot grant her 50% attack bonus. So, what is SuiSui's overall pool value for your account? If you actively main Yan Yan SP or Hiyuki, SuiSui at S0 fits their stack-consuming mechanic perfectly, instantly outputting a full 95% attack buff, 25% all damage amplification and expanding debuff limits. If you run Zani or Imeth, at S0 SuiSui provides healing, 25% damage amplification and extra debuff stacks. However, to extract that big 50% forte attack boost, you'll need to aim for Sequence 1, since the DPS units hit through debuffs rather than consuming them. For Katefia mains, Aero Rover is still her best in slot thanks to 26% aero damage amplification. But if you need Rover elsewhere, it is a comfortable choice for them. And if you don't play negative statuses archetype or prefer not to invest in debuff-reliant setups, skip SuiSui for now and pick her up on a rerun. It is better to save those Astrites for characters like Imeth, a complete value breakdown video for whom will be coming to the channel very soon. If you found this guide helpful, hit that like button and subscribe, it will help me a lot. Drop the pool results in the comments below and stay tuned for full team gameplay showcases coming up shortly. And until next time, Rovers.